You know what we haven't talked about in a while? We have not talked about truancy. And there's a reasoning for that because we've been talking about other things and throughout the other goals. But I want to do some catch up. But first, what I want to do is to do some catch up. Let's go. Has there been any more college hazing? Well, just 3 weeks ago, U.S. News, just 12 hours ago, USNews.com did a college campus safety ask questions. Families should review college's annual security reports and ask available campuses for safety services. So, these are the questions from the U.S. Weekly. It says, what kind of on-campus support and safety services are available to students? Campus police often participate in first-year orientation to inform students about rules and safety procedures. But many police officers also work to stay connected with students and community members throughout the year, hosting events like Coffee with a Cop and opportunity to attend and ask questions. Second question, how do you communicate with students in an emergency? For instance, in Dakota State University, for example, they use a platform called Everbridge, which can send out text messages, emails, or phone calls in case of emergency. Third question, do you have a threat assessment team? It's trained to handle any type of threatening behavior from students, faculty or staff, community members, alumni, or others to reduce to prevent campus violence. How do you handle drug and abuse of alcohol? How do you handle drug and alcohol use and abuse? There are training sessions not meant as punishment. How do you handle hazing? Laws, 44 states have anti-hazing laws, consequences and definitions of hazing by state. Who is the best point of contact for people on safe campus? Emergency response varies on student campuses. And 7 hours ago, the New York Post asked the question, why parents are torn over fraternities despite drinking deaths and sexual assault. They answered the question. It's about college freshman Ryan Edbell who had a bright future in high school in Concord, California. The 18-year-old had been a baseball player with a 3.94 GPA in 2016. He enrolled at the University of Nevada, Reno, where he planned on joining major broadcast journalism, was excited by joining the fraternity. He kind of almost died because of all this. All right, now it's focusing on truancy because 2 weeks ago, because 2015 is, let me recap this. 2015, the Texas legislature removed the criminal offense to failure to attend school from the Texas Education Code. Instead, districts are expected to address the student truancy by implementing prevention measures to where students' unexcused absence take specific action. And just 2 weeks ago, Axios posted a graph, posted a little data from since March 2020. Since 2017-18 school year, 44.8K. 2018-2019, 43.2. The COVID-19 pandemic begins with 24.1K, lower. Then it went higher again in 2020-21 to 47.5 and 55.6 last year. But the Philadelphia School District is already grappling with plunging enrollment and low academic achievement. There's also wide gaps. The big picture is chronic absenteeism rose nationally during the last school year, according to a report. But between the lines, unlike chronic absenteeism, there's no national policy around student truancy, which is determined at the state and local level. But during the pandemic, remote learning revealed how disengaged students really were, as they could easily close their laptops during online sessions. But the state is expected to release data about the crime absenteeism for the school districts in its annual report this winter. We'll know more. 2 weeks ago, school officials at Sabine Parish are enforcing stricter penalties for truancy. The board met October 20th with multiple agencies coming up to ways to reduce truancy, like the attendant along with the superintendent, central office staff, a judge, families need services, a sheriff, the assistant DA, the police chief, and the assistant chief. The school board says state law allows maximum 10 unexcused absences per year. Parents whose children are frequently absent could be required to work with the local FINS intake officer. Parents may also be required to attend FINS meetings, juvenile court parenting courses, and or pay truancy fines. They're working with these varieties to identify students who are missing out to seek to find solutions. So yeah, like we talked about for 6 years, you need to get your kids to school every day. The whole reason it is, we want to get those kids educated so they don't fall through the cracks and get in trouble with the law. That's the whole key here throughout the 6 years I talked about this. So the bottom line here is this. Getting your education is very important. If you don't get your education, you're never going to get a good job in high school. That's why truancy court was created years ago to prevent stuff from happening. There's no arguing here. You're in front of the judge, and we're trying to find solutions for you guys so this doesn't happen again. So it doesn't happen again. You may have heard last week that Aaron Carter, the famous singer, has died. But now there is latest news happening, and when we return, we'll tell you that latest news. Then we're gonna play a 2020. We're gonna play a two-parter 2020 from back in 2005 or 6, where it was Carter versus Carter. You're gonna hear from Aaron's father, and Jane Carter, who got arrested for domestic violence. Stay with us. If you heard the news last week, Aaron Carter was dead at 34. He was the famous singer with big hits like I'm All About You, Saturday Night, just to name a couple. But how did he die? The cause of death is unknown. This is just like Elvis Presley. You remember Elvis Presley? Elvis Presley died with an unknown condition. People said it was a heart attack, but the cause of death was an overdose of drug medication. So here's updating you from TMZ. The fiancée Melanie Martin tells TMZ, "My fiancé Aaron Carter has passed away. I love Aaron with all my heart. It's going to be a journey to raise a son without a father. Please respect the privacy of my family as we come to terms with the loss of someone who we love greatly. We are still in the process of accepting this unfortunate reality. Your thoughts and prayers are really appreciated." At around 4:03, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department tells TMZ Aaron's house sitter found his body in the bathtub and called authorities. Multiple sources say his body was found in his bathtub. Law enforcement says they received a 911 call at 11 a.m. Saturday that a male has drowned in the bathtub. Homicide attendants have been dispatched to the scene, but there's no information or evidence of foul play. Standard operating procedure for homicide attempts to investigate such death scenes. But celebrities have been jumping into conclusions lately. Like just 16 hours ago, Hilary Duff, you may have known from as Lizzie McGuire from the old Disney Channel show. Hilary Duff slams publisher from announcing the release of his unfinished Aaron Carter memoir after his death. The late Aaron Carter's rep slammed posthumous publication of the memoir and praised Hilary Duff for speaking out about it. The original story is like it was a book about the late serial Aaron Carter, an incomplete story of an incomplete life. It's been in the works for more than 3 years, per USA Today. The author, Andy Simmons, spent that time interviewing Carter about the details of his life as a child star and his experience through the music industry. These two have met. How I Met Your Father star began back in 2000. Both were only 13 at the time. After the That's How I Beat Shaq performer appeared on Duff's hit show Lizzie McGuire, they've had on and off romance until they called it quits for good in 2003 during their various breakups. Aaron's also linked to follow Disney album Lazy Lohan more than a decade later. Carter admitted that he had lingering feelings for the childhood flame. But she responds to Aaron Carter's declarations of love. But Aaron, back in 2012, Aaron spoke to Fox News about Hillary's marriage, her pregnancy news, and the regret over losing her. Saying, I'm very happy for her as she's in a sexual relationship. But fast forward 2014, where Aaron, 26, keeps referring to Hillary, also 26, the love of my life. In March, Aaron took to Twitter to share his living friends in the world. Aaron Carter, are you talking about Hillary? Shada. I spent the rest of my life trying to better myself to get back to her. I don't care what any of you think. It's come out to be traded following Hillary caption. Hillary death is flawless. And in April, he told him tonight, I'm not going to get rid of Hillary ever. Do you know each other? Yeah, we don't know each other. Yeah, we don't know each other. So yeah, it's just weird. You said it, not me. Like, okay. But the Los Angeles Times has reported about all of this. So you've heard what celebrities have said about, you've heard what Hillary Duff said about his death. But the cause is still unknown. Up next, authorities search for Aaron Carter's cause of death as clues start to emerge. Maybe the clues could be from why the fiance has been harassed by fans. We're going to hear that when we return. So we're going to hear that coming up. So stay with us. Now we're going to hear what Nick Carter has to say about his brother's death. Here's what Nick Carter had to say from KCRA. My heart has been broken today, wrote Carter. Even though my brother and I have had a complicated relationship, my love for him has never faded. I have always held on to the hope that he would someday want to talk a healthy path and eventually find the help he so desperately needed. But still, the Los Angeles Times has written down that the autopsy still report. The autopsy is unknown. So, the Los Angeles County's coroner's office performed an autopsy on singer Aaron Carter, who was found dead in his home, but officials deferred to clearing the cause of death pending chemical tests. The deputy said about 11 a.m. A source told the Times investigators found evidence of medications and compressed air in the home's master bedroom and bathroom. According to the source, who was familiar with the investigation but not authorized to discuss it publicly, Carter had been in the bathwater for some time when his body was discovered. Some technology results from the autopsy could take several weeks, but there ain't no weeks when stuff happens. Carter was open to struggles with mental health and substance abuse. His 25-year-old sister died of a prescription drug overdose in 2012. That was 10 years ago, leading him to say he would never overtake medication. I'm sensing there's a pattern here. Elvis Presley died of a drug overdose, but the coroner's office said it was a heart attack. So could this probably be the same thing that if they tested out? Like if they say heart attack, could it be the same? We don't know. But once those tests come back, we'll keep you posted on what's been going on. But that same month, Carter has put his 7-bedroom home on the market, recently dropping the asking prices to almost $800,000. between October 29th, he was selling his second home. He was ready for a new chapter in my third home, which I plan on staying to make a beautiful life for my family. Okay? So, yeah. But there could be evidence that it was murder. Probably not the drug overdose. It was probably like murder and the drug overdose. We probably don't know, but TMZ also did an article today, yesterday, that talked about what happened. It said, TMZ exclusive. Aaron Carter, fans harassing fiance Melanie, some show up at his house. Sources connected to Melanie tell TMZ, ever since Aaron died, going online, he has been a nightmare for Melanie because she's getting so many hateful messages from the singer's supporters. These are the messages from Twitter. This is from, and she lived 23. I'm calling it. Melanie murdered Aaron. She texted him days ago saying, "You're going to die." And days ago, Aaron called her Voldemort. Today, Melanie posts on social media a video of her crying while driving. Who does that? Suspicious. Hashtag justice for Aaron Carter. Hashtag Aaron Carter. Hashtag rest in peace. R.I.P. From Sandy Atkins. The way Melanie Martin is acting, I would request a DNA test of the baby if one wasn't ever performed. Boys canceled. For legal purposes. I know that sounds harsh, but she seems really to be moving fast here, and her actions are odd to me. Lawrence the Frog Prince. Someone says she's currently lives saying Melanie paid the housekeeper to kill Aaron. If that's the case, if the housekeeper killed Aaron and Melanie paid her to do it, it could be a fair trial, like who killed Aaron, but we don't know that. She also came face to face with some real life drama. That was a fan on Tuesday. And this is from Dick McKellar from November 9th, which was 3 days after the death. He said, "I am coming for heads Melanie check. Christy, Joker Gang, and everybody else involved who has ever stolen and abused Aaron. What you're doing before and after his death is egregious, sickening, embarrassing, and evil. I hope I have you shaking in your Louis veterans, Melanie. Every single move you make, I will expose all of you involved until someone hears me and hears Aaron's truth. You will not walk away from this playing the victim. I don't care how insanely crazy I look. Nobody knows the truth about Aaron, and it's not anybody's business. But I promise that man I would have his back. So welcome to the circus. I'll be the crazy one." Okay, sounds like we have someone here who needs to be. Doesn't want to be heard. Doesn't want to heard about it. All right. Coming up next, Carter versus Carter. You're going to hear from Jane Carter, his ex-wife, his ex-husband Bob, and Aaron Carter before he died. This was all back in 2005 or 6. Chris Connolly with Carter versus Carter. Stay with us. If there's one rule at the heart of family life, it's this. No matter what happens, families stick together. But most of us feel we can't trust our families. Whom can we trust? That's the case of what's happening. You're about to meet some two stars, making bundles of money. It's exactly how it all started. You're going to meet the mother who agreed to speak. To Chris, who agreed to speak to 2020 back in 2006. You're also going to meet the husband who agreed to speak. And you're also going to meet Aaron Carter. Before he died before he died this year. This is all about money and something else. Here's Chris Connolly with Carter versus Carter.
Saturday night, it's the latest Good Time song from 17-year-old Aaron Carter. One-time Little Prince of Pop, who after 8 years of sugar-sweet hits aimed at adolescent girls, now has this video getting frequent play on MTV. Where Aaron's older brother, Nick Carter, years of stardom as a member of the multi-platinum group, the Backstreet Boys. As it was for Nick, Aaron Carter's breakthrough, the gold records, the videos, the concert tours, his devoted fan base, was a tribute to Aaron's talent, and as the rest of the family knew, to the tireless persistence of his mother and manager,
I love it,
Jane Carter.
Sacrificed my whole entire life for that child and for the other child for the sake of that family. But I was willing to do it for them, for the family.
Jane's sacrifices did pay off. The boys' successes took the Carter family from working class to wealth, showing off their flashy new lifestyle on MTV Cribs.
Kind of made it my own and had the shag carpet, put on here.
There was a spacious home for Jane, her husband Bob, and their 5 kids, and an expensive car.
Did some part of you say to yourself, I put that car there?
Yes, absolutely.
I put that
I was
house
proud
there.
of myself. Why shouldn't I be?
But that success would cost Jane Carter everything she held dear. Aaron, Nick, Bob, her income, her career, even her dignity, on a bizarre night that ended in police custody.
Sitting in that squad car, reminiscing and thinking, wow, all these years and this is how I get treated.
This is rock bottom.
There was no way for me to salvage the family.
Here you go.
We first showed you this broken family last May, in the words of Nick and Aaron Carter, who said they had to cut their mother out of their lives because she insisted on acting like a boss instead of a mom.
We were starved for that attention of a motherly figure.
You know what a lot of people out there are saying, guys. She sacrificed her life for these 2 boys' careers. She gave them every opportunity.
But at the
These
same time,
ungrateful boys.
but at the same time, we gave her a job for 12 years.
Now Jane Carter is telling her side with some shocking new charges.
The drugs, the drinking, the partying.
But you thought it wouldn't happen to your kids.
I tried to prevent it from happening, but I couldn't.
And Aaron Carter is hitting back with fresh allegations of his own.
There's just money being taken and just money being spent for no reason. I mean, my mom had 2 big tractor trailers. Both of them were full with her clothes.
There's only one thing this first family of teen pop can agree on. The unhappiness that fame and riches brought upon them.
What's the price of fame for you?
It's been the loss of my family.
What do you think the price of fame was for your family?
Self-destructing. Like a tornado just came through our house and family got tossed everywhere.
By 2000, Jane Carter had 2 pop idol sons, as she'd spent 9 months traveling the world with Aaron and made him a star.
What was it like for you when he became successful? When he clicked?
It was like lightning striking twice.
You're not smiling when you say that.
It's just never turned out the way I thought it would.
On the road, Jane and Aaron began to argue.
But it was never about a mother-son relationship. It was always about work. And I was just like, sometimes I would just stop and I would be like, Mom, why can't we just fight about, me being a teenager and me growing up? It was all about money.
Aaron says that to placate him after one of their spats about money, his mother would buy him a gift, like a fancy Mercedes or a pet.
And then we ended up having like 21 dogs.
By 2003, Jane and Bob had separated. After a tour, Aaron reached out to his dad, who, Aaron says, showed him documents that convinced him his mother hadn't paid him the money he was owed.
Every show we did, we would probably make about maybe $40,000, $50,000 a show. And it was all gone.
Do you think your mother stole money from you?
I think she did. I mean, I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional, but I mean, I know that it was gone. And when I came back to my dad, I didn't have a dime.
All the bank accounts of Aaron's were emptied out.
There was no money in Aaron's
None.
bank account.
Jane and her lawyer point out Aaron and Bob signed a document stating that she did not mishandle Aaron's money. Throughout her son's rise, Jane says money was being spent, but by others.
My husband was buying boats, tractors, tour buses.
How about your kids?
The kids had spending habits too. Clothing, jewelry, you name it.
You know what people are saying at home, Jane. 2 huge superstars, millions of records sold, and she's saying the family is broke?
Overextended is more like it.
Nevertheless, the damage was done. Jane ceased to be Aaron's manager, and her little Prince of Pop wanted nothing to do with her.
I don't talk to her because she's not like a mother anymore.
It's devastating, of course. How would you feel?
For Jane Carter, this epic of personal and professional heartbreak had one final humiliation in store for her. Because on the night of January 13, 2004, she arrived unannounced at the home she once shared with her husband and kids.
Why did you do what you did that night?
Because he made me feel that he wanted us to get back together, and I was going to surprise him.
Oh, well, she surprised me. Okay? She really surprised me. Surprise, surprise.
Covered with leaves, Jane was first spotted by Aaron at the compound's guest house near his twin sister, Angel.
And I was just like, Angel, Mom's right behind you. She's like, stop playing, whatever.
I said, guess who's back? Mommy's home.
And then she's like, where's your father? And I was just like...
I went over to the other house and caught him in bed with the girl in my bed.
The girl was Ginger Elrod. She and Bob were to be married in less than 2 months, once Jane and Bob were divorced.
I said, honey, it said it's time to go. And she's like, Bob, do something.
I get there, glass is broken, there's blood dripping down the door. And, I hear screaming.
And Bob's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what, Jane, this isn't good.
And I was trying to restrain her, and she's a wild woman. She was just ripping up and throwing stuff all over the place.
I pinned my mom down in bed. She kicked me in my face and threw me off of her.
I ended up throwing a remote control at her, and then I got arrested.
It fell to Aaron to summon the cops to the house, where they took Jane into custody.
I wanted it to stop.
It was your son who called 911 on you.
Mm-hmm. Bob told him to.
How did that make you feel?
I couldn't believe what was happening.
The charges would be dismissed. Jane's feelings could not be.
Still ahead, things get really ugly for the Carters. Who's telling the truth? Who's lying? Who's making false or true allegations? Stay with us. Return to our story. You've heard Aaron and Bob tell their side of the story. You've heard partially of Jane's side of the story about what happened during a domestic violence thing when Bob cheated on Jane. But there's more to the story than meets the eye. Lies, and allegations that could go back years. Once again, here's Chris Conley with Carter versus Carter.
This is the first shirt Aaron ever wore for a live performance in Germany.
Jane Carter wrote the book on being the mother of a teen idol. Actually, she wrote 2 of them, one each about Backstreet Boy Nick Carter and Aaron Carter, then Pop's reigning cutie patootie. But her boys bade her farewell when they felt she was more manager than mom to them. Now, in her home near Tampa, photographs and memories must take the place of the sons to whom she was once so close.
I couldn't bear to look at him. I was hurt, and it brought back too many memories. Now I think I'm strong enough where I can be proud of the memories.
But the friction between mother and son had a few sparks left. Earlier this year, the National Enquirer ran these 2003 photos of a 15-year-old Aaron getting high.
I wasn't a bit surprised.
2 weeks later, Jane claimed in those same tabloid pages that back then she'd caught Aaron with a bag of marijuana at a show during the Hawaiian Tropics pageant. Her son Nick tipped her off.
Nick leans over and whispers in my ear, Aaron bought a bag of marijuana from the surfer guy, the surfer dude, when we were surfing. And I was like floored.
Your mother has talked about an incident in 2003 where she says she caught you with a bag of drugs.
Well, I mean, nowadays, I've grown up in this industry, and being young, I just Sometimes, you try things and sometimes you don't like it, but I know that I've made mistakes.
But you did for a while. You did a little of it.
I tried it a couple of times.
Those pictures that ran in the tabloid, that was you getting high, right?
Yes. But it was just, like I said, it was just a hard time for me. And
Aaron says he's drug-free now, but there's nothing easy about anything within what used to be the first family of Teen Pop.
She'd absolutely be lying right to your
I can
face.
prove that they're the
she
liars.
lied so much that she has to cover a lie with a lie.
Ex-spouses fight. Managers and their acts sue each other. But there's still something startling about strife between a mother and her 17-year-old boy.
How does it feel when you hear your mother saying things about you?
It hurts. It really hurts. I just want her to love me, I just want her to be my mom. Is that too much to ask for?
Why do you think Jane has been saying these things publicly about Aaron?
I'll tell you exactly why. She's broke. And she's using Aaron and me and everybody else to stir up publicity so that she can sell a book of lies.
Jane says her new book will be called The Price of Fame.
This has been not just Aaron and Nick's life. This has been my entire life. And I have a right to talk about my life. My life means
Of course.
nothing? Is that what everybody's saying? That my life has no significance?
Jane says she is estranged from 4 of her 5 children. The last leaf on the tree is 18-year-old Leslie Carter. Leslie wants to be a singer. And, yes, her manager is her mom.
Did any part of you say, oh, not again? I mean, I want to manage. I just don't want to manage anybody with my last name anymore.
With Leslie, it's different because I don't have that stress of the bad relationship. And that's all behind me now. So it's going to be fun this time.
Of course, not everyone is so sure about that.
Leslie, my advice to you would be, don't let mom manage you.
With a new single out, Aaron is optimistic about the days ahead. This December, he will turn 18 and gain access to a trust estimated at $5 million. He says he's grateful for the love and discipline his father has brought to his life.
I love you guys.
I'll see you later.
Okay, I'll see you.
Jane, in turn, has her own dreams for the future, rooted in the hard lessons of her past.
I learned something out of it, and that's one thing that I can say, that I learned something positive out of this whole thing. It taught me a really big lesson, that all the material things in the world are not important compared to the amount of time that you can spend with your children.
And there was and yeah, so after that, the family probably never got along, but still allegations kept pouring in. And we may never know Jane's reaction or Bob's reaction to the death, but we heard from other celebrities. And just 3 days ago, the fiance moves her stuff out of his home and cops called to keep the peace. Aaron Carter's home was bustling with activity a few days after his son's death. His fiance moving his fiance's moving her stuff out, and deputies are there too. This was probably when a fan got in and started jumping in. And now in the weeks, he's now having his new album before the death. And this is probably very similar to Selena. So you have Elvis, you have Elvis Presley, Selena Quintanilla, and Aaron Carter. There are similarities, except in Selena Quintanilla's case, it was all about the fan club and the money. So is it really similar to the Carters? Absolutely. But did they go to the police about this? In Selena's case, in the Abraham's case, he didn't go to the police because it probably didn't happen because of what's going on. Stealing money from the fan club, well, this and this. But But yeah, I really think so. Now, in Elvis Presley's case, there wasn't no fan club, there wasn't no assassination or nothing. I mean, nothing ended in gun violence or jail time. But yeah. Yeah. It's the first time I heard about this. I've seen this years ago. I watched it several times. It really gets to you when you start watching stuff like this. It just like really hits you when you start to watch stuff like this. Or give me a break when we return. Stimulus. Throughout the 6 years we've talked briefly on this broadcast, we focused in on school threats and absenteeism. That seems to be the case in these threats happening. After all these shootings are happening, a lot of parents are keeping their kids home because of all these school threats are happening on social media and everything. So after almost a year after Oxford, TikTok went in with a lot of school threats, and yeah, so let's take a look at this.
In the pickup line outside A-Leaf's O'Donnell Middle School, parents are coping with a new reality.
It's scary. It's absolutely scary.
It's like now we're in a different time.
A time when school safety threats are more common than rare. Like this Instagram post last March warning O'Donnell students, quote, "You better duck, 'cause I'm blowing all y'all's heads off."
What can we do? What can we do with our kids right now?
What parents did at 30 school districts last year was keep their kids home. KHOU 11 Investigates analyzed Texas Education Agency data and found on 65 school days last year, safety threats triggered high absence rates, 30%, 40%, or higher. After fights broke out at Kingwood Park High School, 70% of the student body didn't show. Threats even shut down entire schools at 4 districts last year.
There's a man with a gun in the school.
Like when a gunman shot the principal at Yes Prep Southwest.
I was hiding for my life.
But it's not just physical attacks that have repercussions. Threats can come from anywhere.
Somebody in another country across the Atlantic can disrupt our school.
A teenager from Great Britain targeted Dickinson High School with a hoax call about a gunman. The next day, about half the students were absent.
And so it just completely impacts the learning to where really no teaching and learning can happen on a day like that.
Even indirect threats triggered high absenteeism at several districts, from the ripple effects of the Uvalde school shooting to TikTok rumors of an American school shooting day.
It is a distraction and a disruption if they're not in the classroom because they're going to be behind no matter what.
After a string of threats last year, Pasadena ISD launched this edgy public service video.
I thought I wouldn't get caught. I thought wrong.
The district says the number of threats have since gone down.
A student with a prank, there's consequences, and those consequences can be jail time.
Now, all the school districts we cited applied for attendance waivers with the state so they wouldn't lose funding for having fewer students in class. Meanwhile, we want to know the absent rate at Heights High School today after yesterday's scare, but guys, HISD tells us it's still compiling those numbers. We will follow up.
I can imagine it would certainly be lower today, though, as a result, but we'll see.
Yeah, frightening stuff.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Jeremy.
So now we know the cause of these absences. Lots of threats are happening, and schools are reporting this to the DEA. So what can be done about this? Parents, make sure you monitor what your kids post on social media. And kids, if you do this, if you think you're gonna post a threat, fake or real, I can promise you, you're not only gonna get out of school, but you're going to jail. I'm tired of hearing about these threats. You want to get kids out of school? Don't do it. If you don't want to go to school, it's your choice. But you're being truant and your parents being negligent if this continues. Let's get back to the world of education. Let's make education back to the way it was. Safe. A safe and great place to be, to learn, to make friends, and hopefully not to end up in violence and doing drugs. Let's make school a safer place. That's the bottom line here. Coming up on the Give Me a Break Saturday, you're going to meet a family who had false allegations, who made up a lot of stories. I've watched this several times. This teen stole his father's car. And the parents are like, well, we can't trust you. You're trustworthy. His son lied. You're going to hear from the son and the parents. And the parents and the mom and the grandmother says to her daughter that she was a troublemaker back then. But there is lots of sides to every story. Are there secrets? It's a family feud you won't miss. That's Give Me a Break for this Friday going to Saturday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Saturday night. I hope you've had a great day. I hope you had a great day. For all of us here at Give Me a Break and YouTube, have a good night.